Water Sewer Commissioners meeting, January 10th, 2024. And President is Keith Waniaz, Bob Josie, and Bob Sullivan. So we're going to start off with we're going to pass up on the approval of the minutes of the meeting until Colin comes in at the next one. So we'll have the Systems Manager, Water and Sewer report.
You can skip November if you want, Bob. Just go to December.
What was that?
I told Bob you could skip November if he wanted, and we could just go to December's water report.
So the flows are from November, December report. Gallons of water pumped was 6.9 million for an average of 223,000 a day. Total KOH used was 394 gallons. Chlorine used was 381 gallons of batch solution. Sampling was done on the 14th, and it was all clean. System repairs, we fixed the traffic connection on the hydrant at 90 Gilboa Street, replaced the upper stem and seal plate on the hydrant at the ball field on Manchog Street. Did tank inspections. We didn't replace any meters. We did 6 final reads. No new connections or meter installs. Located the abandoned water service at 19 Gilboa, the garage. We dug that up and curbed it off. Adjustable kip handles and panel handles installed in the traffic trailers. Steve assisted the highway opening up the catch basins during the first flood event. Paid for and renewed 2 water licenses or wastewater licenses. Any questions on that?
Nope.
Alright, monthly sewer report. 10.48 inches of rain. Cinnabro hauled off 60,900 gallons. Flow was 10,532,000 for an average of 339,000 a day. Wasted 213,000 for an average of 6,870 gallons a day. Used 1,183 gallons of alum, 0 gallons of sodium hydroxide, 391 kilowatt hours of electricity. The river flow was, average was 2,177 cubic feet per second. Just preparing for first quarter toxicity testing that we're doing this week. And Cinegro's still having some of the issues there with being able to get the truckloads hauled off between floods at the Cinegro facility and whatever other maintenance issues there are. The Colonial Pump Station and the Davis Street Pump Stations are cleaned out with Helgerson's, as well as the lines under the river over here. The siphon. So right there. Any questions on the sewer?
Do we have an alternative to Cinegro or something there everyone sell?
Yes and no. We don't have anything in place. We started the work on going to Upper Blackstone.
Yep.
And I've had some discussions with the town administrator over, because everybody's having issues with Cinegro, so there was one lady, I forget what town she was.
Having trouble with Cinnabro?
Yeah,
What kind of trouble?
not picking up because they don't have capacity. They're backed up and they had some of their incinerators down, issues with their treatment plant. So between all the issues, a lot of people weren't able to get their sludge picked up, so everybody's backed up. They sent force majeure letters and all that stuff, so the force majeure letter wasn't technically correct because they're claiming force majeure, which is outside of anyone's control, Mother Nature, floods, hurricanes, whatever. But the real problem was they had maintenance issues. Equipment wasn't maintained, and that was due to conflicts between the town or the city that owns the place and Cinegro who runs it. So maintenance issues, because you can't negotiate money to get things fixed, isn't really a force majeure.
Right.
That's maintenance issues. You got to figure that out, fix them. You can't just run into the ground and claim force majeure. doing your job and keeping the cars running for you. That aside, I did talk to Matt. Unfortunately, there's not really anyone else around here. The next closest place would be New York, I think. So the hauling cost would make it ridiculous to go there. But I did talk to Matt to see if we could potentially have a conversation with all the other towns that were having issues and perhaps go to the New York facility and say, hey, if all of us can, what can you do? So we haven't got to that point yet, but we are, it is on the list of things to look into. But Upper Blackstone would be another option, but they have a lot of stringent requirements, testing and getting approved to go there and everything else, so.
You would have to get somebody to haul it to there.
Helgerson will haul it there.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of different haulers already out of there.
See if trailers.
Anything else?
You don't have any other questions?
I don't.
FY 23 year ended.
I don't know if you guys had a chance to review that. It's really more for looking at it for budget purposes for the next coming year. I think overall, we're in pretty good shape.
Yankee Alpha 3.
At the end of the year, we ended up being about 87% of the budget, so there's 87% left. So on the expenditure, we were at about 76.7%, so we still had about 428,000 remaining, but we were 229,000 short on revenue to collect.
You shot in revenue?
For what was anticipated based on the numbers, so. Overall, we're still in the black, so. So the numbers are good. Magnifying glass to read it. I don't know what you want to go through on the numbers, or there's a ton of stuff here, so if you guys want to just review it.
That's what Lee sent out the other day, on email, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I got that. Did you get it?
Yeah, I get that too.
Okay, yeah, so we're all set on that.
All right. I mean, we'll use this when we start going through the budget process.
Yep.
I know we added the budget for this meeting. But it was more just to open the discussion on budget, because we need to get going on that. So we just had a preliminary
25.
budget discussion for 2025, the FY 25. And I think part of that, on having the preliminary on there, was to kind of get a direction on which way we're going. I did forget that I just got something last night from Ty and Bond on the asset management for down here. I don't know if you guys want me to bring my laptop over and kind of go through their little slide presentation. If I can turn a computer monitor or something.
And what was that about? That wasn't the meter guy, right? This is Ty and Bond's the.
Right, that was Ty's sales. Ty and Bond is the engineering firm that does that. They went through everything
Yeah,
down here,
Yeah.
the collection system, pump stations, and all that. And,
Okay.
just to kind of look at saying, all right, these are the things that you're gonna need to do. You know, start looking at budgets and,
Yep.
you know, paying for some of these upgrades. And, but they look at everything, the asset management, from the structure of the building to, you know, the heating, the HVAC, the safety, just everything throughout the whole
Yep.
place. So they had a bunch of stuff that they identified that needed to be worked on. One is like replacing the screen.
Yeah.
Should probably put up their stuff.
Yeah.
Just so you guys have an idea of what they're looking at.
Did I sign most of them?
No, you didn't sign any of
I
them.
didn't sign it. Oh, they're down here yesterday, signed it.
We're spending a lot of money, Bob. We got a lot of these to sign. In the packet, do we have where we're at with 24?
I do not think so. I don't know what the best way to do this is.
Sit and call and shit.
You want to sit and call? Do you want to sit next to Josie? Run through it this way. This way, we'll be on the camera as well. All right, so this is just kind of the presentation they put together, more for you guys and the general public. So just kind of explain the importance of asset management. US EPA identifies asset management as the process water and sewer utilities can use to make sure that planned maintenance can be conducted in capital assets, pumps, motor pipes, etc. Can be repaired, replaced, or upgraded on time, and that there's enough money to pay for it. Goals and benefits, demonstrating a responsible investment in infrastructure, budgeting based on improved understanding about the timing and expense of rehabilitation, repair, and/or replacement needs, addressing regulatory requirements, providing methodologies for determining replacement of existing assets by failure, outlining predetermined schedules for equipment replacement, identifying annual budget line item costs and the effects of existing rate structures, developing proactive, data-driven decision-making process. It's kind of an overview, just this is to develop an inventory for the waste system to maintain level service. Building the asset inventory, reviewing the critical infrastructure, developing, prioritize lists of improvement, and evaluate the sewer rates. So it's kind of,
Well, that's good. They do like a little rate study too.
yeah, so I was going through the rate study with the guy, and ours is a little different because a lot of towns have separate enterprises for the water and sewer.
Yeah.
So it's a little more realistic to do a water rate or wastewater rate study and then a water rate study, but where ours is combined, it's a little different. So I told him, instead of putting all the effort into it on this,
Yeah.
let's put it all together, because if we're going to do a rate study per se, we're going to do both. But there is a summary of stuff in here and kind of what we need to do. So this was the GIS stuff. This was part of the asset management. We did some training on the horizontal inventory. We got an iPad. We got field maps that we can use on the iPad. We can edit the maps. We can upload data to it. So these maps here, this is the water, the sewer
That one over
is
there.
over there, I think. So they put all that into the GIS system, and then they did a risk-based asset prioritization scoring, probability of failure, consequences of failure, and then you put all the numbers together on what you rate them at. Then you can kind of come up with a determination as to what things need to be done based on those numbers and what the risk is of failure and what we need to prioritize. So this is just kind of the map that was developed through the GIS part. So we'll get newer maps to update from what we did, just so we know where we stand and what needs to be done. Here's some of their recommendations. So they broke it into 5 different areas. I don't even know what this is. I think this is Gilboa Street. Yeah, so Gilboa Street was kind of an outlier of the rest of the 5 areas, so they just did that one separate. So here's what they came up with, a list of their recommendations.
To the final.
So they're saying heavy cleaning, we should clean about 2,400 linear feet. They're estimating that at about 35,000. Additional CCTV inspections of 475 linear feet for about 2,000. Chemical root treatment about 1,520 linear feet. That's about 15 grand. CIPP liner repairs, so that's cure in place pipeline. They're saying about 3 each. Where are we? So about 20,000 each for those. So that's repairs, that's lining. I'm saying 670 linear feet of lining, estimated at about 20,000. Seal manhole connections and wet well, about 5 of those, so that's about 60. Trouble following the lines here. 7,000. Seal, just did that one. Chemical sealing of manholes.
What's that?
What do I mean by that?
It's probably more like an epoxy spray on there as opposed to the cure in place lining.
Okay.
Cure in place lining is like a sock almost
Yeah.
that they blow in there with pressure.
Yeah, you described that to us before.
Yeah, and then they heat it up and it hardens.
Yeah.
It's like basically putting a pipe inside of it.
Yeah. All right.
Manhole bench wall pipe seal repairs. So there's seals around the pipe that are coming into the manhole, or they call the chimney going up. That's the top
It
part.
seals all the
before you-
manholes itself.
No, they're saying that there's some repairs that we need to do, like where the pipe comes through the manhole, it's leaking around that gasket or something, so there's some repairs that we need to do on some of those. We identified some of those when we were doing the inspections. I mean, some of those we took care of because we replaced all of them on Gilboa Street
Gilboa.
and
Yeah,
North
no,
Street
no,
here.
yeah.
We're also, well, we don't have any sewer on northeast Maine, but we're replacing all the structures over there too, so. Manhole cover inserts. What is it? 6 for about $1,000.
Can you blow that up a little bit?
So I won't be able to.
It's a little better.
So what's the sewer
Yeah,
replacement?
that's part of it, yeah.
So sewer replacement. Let's see, that's 705 linear feet, about 350,000. Might have to go through the map to figure out which
Where they
areas
wanna
that
do it.
is.
Yeah.
But trying to think. Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head. I just got this yesterday, so I haven't really
Yeah.
gone through it all yet. But there is actually a thick book to go through to more detail. This is kind of like just I said, a presentation for you guys. The GIS model maintenance every year. Let's see, about 10,000 on the GIS stuff. And CCTV inspections every year for about another 13,000. So all the stuff they're recommending, you're at about $628,000. Now that's just for the pipe stuff. So here's the vertical asset recommendations. So they're saying for 2024, so this year, they're saying we should do repairs to the mechanical disc filters, which we already know, we've already planned for that. So that's the mechanical disc filter cover, they're saying a cover, so they're recommending putting like a screen cover on top of it. I don't know if you guys have been in that filter room, but you don't want to open your mouth during the summer when you're in there, because the filter flies.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You go to take a breath in, and they hit the back of your throat. Kind of gross, but
They said the cover would cut back on that?
yeah, because it would keep it contained just in the filter. They wouldn't be out. And I don't know if you guys have gone in there, but the filter flies get all over the walls and cobwebs and whatever. So it'd be a good idea, but it's not going to come cheap. But the mechanical disc filter, the sandblasting of the disc filter structure, and then replace the sump pump in the filter room with gravity. We had started to try to do that, but just the angle it was on and the tools we had, we couldn't quite get it to work. But we haven't given up yet. So the existing sludge pump station, so you've probably been down there in the past, that thing that goes way down the vault, that's in rough shape. It really just needs to be like blasted down and recoated. So sandblasting the pump station interior, repair cracks in the exterior roof, replace sludge pump station exhaust fan, replace sludge pump station unit heater, and repoint the exterior stone veneer of the sludge pump station. So that's all part of the original pump, the treatment plant here from 1970.
And there's probably 14 layers of paint on some of the stuff down there.
Yeah, and it's pretty deep below
Yeah.
ground, so you get the condensation and the moisture coming through the concrete. So
Yeah, it must go down like 20 feet,
yeah, probably.
quite a bit.
Yeah.
I've only been down there once, I
It's
don't know,
about-
years ago.
Yeah, two landings down.
I flooded it once, Bob.
Hmm?
I flooded it once.
Did you?
I was cleaning off one of the impellers and I forgot to close the valve.
Oh.
So I took the cover off and it come shooting out. I
So
looked,
the,
that valve was open.
so the safety improvements that we're recommending is precast stairs for the SBR tanks. I don't know if you guys have seen over there. I mean, we usually have concrete blocks or something thrown there just to drop on, but it's not really code or anything. And then aluminum toe plates. I don't know if you guys have seen that. I know we brought it up in the past.
Yeah, we
but-
talked about that previously.
Yeah, so those are the things they're talking about for 2024.
Those are
2020.
more safety improvements, right?
Those two, yeah,
Yeah.
the stairs and the aluminum plates. The chemical feed system improvements, the alum day tank, or an alum day tank, because right now we work out of the bulk tank, we don't have day tanks.
Yep.
That's just the way it was designed here. But one of the things that me and Steve and Peter have talked about in the past was putting in day tanks so that, you know, if there's ever an issue, you're only losing a day tank instead of a 3,000 gallon bulk tank. Plus it gives you a little more accurate on the measurements. You're trying to measure how much a 3,000 gallon tank goes down every day as opposed to you have a 100 gallon tank, you can get it pretty precise. Spare decanter for the SBR. With the additional flows that we'll probably be getting off of the projected growth in town, we would end up going to all three basins working. You know, right now we kind of have spares for everything because we got one that's offline. But if we have all three in operation, if one goes down, we don't have anything to, you know, steal from to keep us going on the other ones. So it would be recommended to have a spare mixer, a spare decanter, and a spare diffuser, or the SBR diffuser replacement. So we've already replaced two of the diffusers, and it wasn't that they failed, it was just that it was kind of way beyond the life expectancy of them. So before they failed, we replaced. So we did two of them. We got one more to go, and as soon as we switch back over to the other tank, we'll get the third one done. Let's see. So blower replacements, we're kind of beyond the life expectancy of those as well. So the SBR blowers, we got 3 of them. The sludge tank blower, there's 2 of them, and then there's 1 more for the Posty Q tank. Replacement of stainless steel air intake silencers. I don't know if you've looked along that building. There's air intake silencers. They're way up, so we got to get up there to get to them. But they're steel, and those have just kind of rotted out. Luckily, those are just the intake silencer has a filter on it. It's really more or less to keep the birds out. There's the fine mesh filters are down on the blowers themselves, so we can still maintain those. I don't know what C Street lining is.
Probably C Street.
Oh
as in
yeah, they
C
were
Street.
SEA, not
Letter C.
Yeah, so I guess somebody. Yeah, so C Street is where the Davis Street pump station goes.
Yep.
So the force main comes into the C Street line, and the AC is kind of delaminating inside that pipe. So we do recommend lining that pipe on C Street. That was the only one that really had some wear on it. But instead of digging it up and replacing it all, I think lining it will
Yeah.
work well in that spot. 2026 Colonial Street pump station replacement. And that is our last old pump station. We do have a lot of issues up there. A lot of it's that style of pump station, because the pumps sit up on top, so it's got like a 18-foot lift that it has to pull up. That's a lot of lift for a suction pump to pull up. So for whatever reason, they use a lot of those big shop rags or whatever up there, so they plug the pumps all the time. I think I got called in twice last week to go up there multiple times to fix it. Let's see, so replacement of the SBR blower stage. So I did tell them that I wouldn't replace the blower stages on all 3 the same year. I would do one, then another one, then another one, just to keep the time wise off of them.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause we don't want to replace them all 1 year and then
Yeah.
10 years or 15 years from now be at the point it's like, oh man, we got to replace all of them. I'd rather space it out so you can budget a little better. The UV system upgrade. And let's see, they put UV system upgrade, new UV building, new micro strainer, and 28 new grit removal system, and replacement of SBR blower stage. So that was the blower stages, 1 a year. The UV system upgrade, so the type of UV system that we have is not very common. I like it because it's very effective, but it's a medium pressure, we call them Franken reactors just because they got 4,000 watt UV bulbs in each unit that we have down there. So there's 16,000 watts of UV light hitting that to disinfect. It's a very small unit. It's probably about the width of this table. And to do the equivalent in a conventional type UV system, it'd probably take up this room.
Wow.
So that was the reason they went with it. It takes up a small footprint. The only problem is the company that, when you bought it to install it here, I think they went out of business basically the same year.
Yeah, then we have problem getting the bulbs.
Yeah, so I finally found someone that will make the bulbs for me, because you can't get them from the manufacturer anymore. So we've bought a bunch of them. We've got enough to get us by for several years. We had an issue with the ballast, the ballast for the UV lights. One of those blew out. We went to get it repaired. There's nobody around that does them. There's nobody around. It was a special part kind of made for these. So I called the manufacturer, trying to figure out who. They're like, oh no, we don't sell direct. You got to go through the distributor. I'm like, there is no distributor. So it was about a 1.5 year process going through them. They finally agreed to go direct to us, so we got them shipped direct. So we ordered 2. We sent 2 back that we had to have them rebuilt. And they sent those back, and we sent the other 2 back to get them rebuilt. So we have 2 full unit spares on the shelf, and the ones that are here were rebuilt and they're not that old, so. I know they're saying 2027, but that's only 3 years away.
Yeah.
And I've got enough spare parts to get us by for longer than that.
Okay.
But we will wanna look at it and start trying
Yeah.
to pre-plan for that. I didn't go through and see what they had for numbers here, but, you know, that's why they're saying a new UV building. Because, like I said, you can't get that type system anymore. It was good because it was a really high energy, but took up a really small footprint. So in order to upgrade and put something that's conventional that you can get parts for and that's currently used everywhere,
What do you have to put up a new building for that?
yeah, we'd have to probably extend off of the back of the building. And it would likely be a channel type system, so the water would come through and there'd be channels on the floor. And these units, you pull them up out of the floor to check and change the bulbs.
And we run that, how long, about 6 months out of the year?
May 1st to November 1st. So yeah, roughly 6.
6, 7 months.
Yep. So I know when we were originally discussing it, they were like, well, you don't have much garage space. If you do a building, you're already doing a building, you should probably build it with, you know, additional garage space. So that's all stuff we'll discuss down the road if we get into a design phase. So the micro strainer, we do have some issues with this one. There's a tear in the screen. We've had it binding up a few times just because it's wearing. We did call to get a price on a new one, and I want to say it was about 100,000, and that's to replace the section, not the entire thing. That's using our old motor and gear head. But it would be a good idea to replace this one, and then take this one out, and we can kind of rebuild it ourselves, not send it out to them, but we can probably have the local guy weld some new parts up for us and have it so we'll have a spare on the shelf just in case. The grit removal system, they're saying a new one, I say repair the one we have. There's not much to it, so we'll get further into that, but they're saying 2028, so we get some time to discuss that. So as you can see, well, this is the one that's online, but the coating is deteriorating and bubbling. So it's a special coating that's on these that will handle the chemicals and stuff through a wastewater plant. Here's just kind of an overview of the UV system. So like I said, you can see it's a small unit. It's all contained in that little vessel, and we have two chains, 2 trains of the UVs. So here's the sludge, that sludge vault that we were talking about. Actually, it doesn't look bad in the picture here, but this wall over here is a lot more in need of. So this is the Headworks, the micro screen that we were talking about. So this is what they're recommending as well. You know, replace the existing mechanical micro screen and keep the existing one as a backup. Replace the existing Vortex grit removal system with a new one. That's the same thing. No, this is the grit removal. So here's their funding analysis and capital improvement plan. So if you start going through all their numbers here, so there's some of the bigger ones, the Colonial Street Pump Station, they're estimating it. This is estimated cost, this is escalator, start here. So they're saying about 1.2 to 1.34 million for that. The UV building, they're saying about 3 to 3.4 million. New mechanical micro strainers, about 250 to 300,000.
Is the UV building just the building?
Yeah.
Or is that the system also?
Now, the system above it, that's another 500 to 600,000. So, I mean, I guess it's kind of good that we're seeing some of these things,
Yeah.
at least so you guys can see it, and that's kind of why they put together a presentation. so that you can see. I mean, if you did all the stuff they're saying, you know, you're looking at over the next 5 years, $7.5 to $8.5 million. So it's kind of, I know you guys are always tight and trying to keep the rates down and everything, but at some point we're going to have to spend some money on some upgrades. And I guess you got to look at it from, I'm not sure which method you guys like looking at it, whether you just keep the rates at what it costs to function day to day, and then any of this stuff you look at and say, all right, we got to get a loan, borrow, and charge a fee. It's whatever your mindset is. I prefer to have some money up front. We can get some of the stuff done. And this is just their estimated costs. I mean, this doesn't have any, you know, you're going to have added costs for the design of the building, design of, you know, some of the things that they're looking at here.
Obviously, some of it they break down as, you know, that it could be on the rate, and some of it could be loans.
So that's the next part. This is budgeting, funding analysis, and projecting the expenses. So here's, you know, doing capital outlay. Here's doing new debt service. So here's our kind of operating budget and what they're saying is projected. And then if you get down here, so this is kind of what they came up with as projections. And I did have them include that, you know, new revenue, because we're going to have additional revenue coming in from other sources. And here's their end balances and stuff. So here's what they're saying for rate increases. I don't have years on here. Normally they put a year like 2024, 2025. But it looks like they're saying that we need to increase the first year 30%, second year another 20%, third year another 18%, fourth year 10%, fifth year 10%. So that's what they're projecting or saying that we need to do. We tend to try to be a little
We're
more
talking
frugal.
about an increase every year.
That's the way they project. I mean, it is more responsible to do a rate increase in small increments every year as opposed to wait 10 years like you guys did the first time. You know, when I came here the first time, you guys hadn't done a rate increase in 10 years. So now you're playing catch up, and it hurts a lot more when you have that big jump all at once. Whereas, I don't remember what percentage we went up that first year, but you know, over 10 years, if you did what an average, typically, I mean, you got a 2.5% is what your typical increase is, based on cost of living or whatever. So our expenses go up every year. We can't just keep operating at the same rate. You need to adjust for that. And if you do 2.5% per year, you know, over a 10-year period, that's 25%. So if they're saying 30%, it's a lot up front. But if you did 2.5 every year, you'd have a 5% that you'd have to do to make up that difference. But this is all stuff that we'll look at. I'm just saying that this is what they presented and are proposing. So we're supposed to have a kickoff meeting, not this week, the week after, because we're going to start doing the drinking water side, so we can get a handle on where we stand on the drinking water side. So here, like I said, we'll do the sewer and water rates. We'll reevaluate at the conclusion of the project, just so we can have it kind of combined. It's just easier to follow if you do them both the way that we do. So, questions? So that's it. This is one that this is a presentation that they would have came in and did, but I didn't see a whole lot of value in making them come out here to present all this.
Yeah. Well, it's good to have
I looked at it as the biggest part of this you guys are going to be concerned about is the rate portion.
Yeah.
And why bring them out to look at this when we're only halfway through it? So we'll have them come out and we can do a presentation. I mean, they were talking about coming and presenting at the town meeting and all that. I'm like, yeah, let's just send me it. I'll go through it with them here. I'll actually forward this to you guys so you guys know. I just got it last night, so I wasn't really in the mode to go through it all. So I just wanted to throw that out there just because we have the budget preliminary discussion in here. So those are kind of some of the things that we need to consider and look at for when we're going into this budget season. Some of those upgrades that we need to do. Because some of those are projected in this coming fiscal year. So like I said, I want to put the preliminary discussion on here to kind of get a handle on which direction you guys want to go on preparing the budget. Because I know a couple times in the past I've gone and put all the effort into trying to come up with what I thought was the most reasonable budget, and then we come here and sometimes it gets changed as, no, let's throw all that out and I want to do it, start from here. So if you want to start from have a starting point that you guys have, then let's start with that and give me that and I'll work from there. I don't want to.
So the biggest thing that I run into is, and I think last year we had it, was the explanation of some of the line items.
Yeah.
So, because we have to go by what Gene wants,
yeah.
and so then that causes, some confusion, because where I think it should be somewhere else. So I'd just like to have that explanation, so, which.
So I can tell you some of those.
So like the sewer, repair and maintenance, what does that cover? And I think we had it last year.
Yeah, so we've got a breakdown of that whole list of what's what.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, what we look at and say, oh, well, this should go under this.
Yeah.
Jean gets it, she's like, oh, no. And she changes what account number it goes into.
Right.
She looks at it in a different way.
Yeah. And I know she doesn't mind line items, as long as we're fine overall, but.
I'd prefer to keep it as accurate as we can. It just
Yeah.
makes it easier budgeting the next year.
Yeah,
If I'm carrying something in one line item and we're charging it to another line item,
right.
it's confusing when we go to do the budget,
Yeah.
and I'm like, yeah, I gotta raise this by 30,000, but oh yeah, to be in charge over this.
And I know we accounted in, well, not this one, because that's 23, but we accounted in 24 for some of the engineering on stuff that we paid, right?
Yes, so that was at the last town meeting.
Yeah,
That's 300,000
yeah,
for the Depot Street.
right.
So I haven't got the full contract yet from Stantec.
Yeah,
We should be signing that this week, if not next, because I need to get moving on it, because we have to have it out to bid and a contractor
yeah,
committed,
there's timelines.
by the end of this year, so
Yeah,
I've gotta get all that done. So I guess it's a little bit of a blessing that we didn't get the Mass Works for North Street
Yeah.
yet, because that would have been a big project to take on this year.
Yeah.
And we're still finishing up this other project.
Yeah.
And, so we gotta fix the issue with the asphalt, so we're gonna have to repave north and part of Gilboa again. They haven't finished the pump station yet. So one of the issues with the pump station, they're behind, that should have been all completed by the end of, it was like December 28th.
yeah,
They're behind, originally it was supposed to be completed by November 1st, I think.
Yeah.
And we've had these last couple rain events where, the previous one, not this one, the one before that, the water was coming in the Gilboa Street pump station so fast we couldn't keep up, so we had to have a septic hauler come in.
Yeah.
They'd pump it out, run it down here, dump it, go back, pump it out, so we were just kinda going back and forth. And when we pumped it down, we got down below the inlet pipe, and I'm looking at it and water's just pouring in, crystal clear water, so I'm like, alright, so we went out and popped the manhole, I'm like, wait a minute, there's not that much flow here.
yeah,
So it was in the pipe between the last manhole and the pump station.
yeah,
So we had them come out and camera it. They cameraed it, and the connection where they connected the new manhole to the existing pump station, their coupling failed and the groundwater was just pouring in. So they lined that pipe, but not wanting to spend any more money than they have to, they lined only to the part where they connected, so there could still be
yeah,
another part broken down a little further. It was only a 40-foot pipe, they did like 20 feet, I'm like, just do the other 20 feet and be
Yeah,
done
right.
with it. Most of your cost was mobilization,
yeah,
but they didn't. So, that did help, it alleviated a lot of it. But we're again, we had to pump today.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, this is
Yeah, I see
absurd.
him down there.
This is an absurd amount of water that we've
Oh,
got.
it's crazy.
I mean, there's flooding stuff everywhere, so. I think Peter's still here trying to keep up with manually running some of this to keep us where we're supposed to be. So, you know, just based on these last few storms, I know we got a lot more I&I work that we need to do. So our initial I&I study that we did with Ty and Bond, they came out, we evaluated the system. We did the first phase that we were required to do, the initial investigation, and the findings from that were under their parameters to require additional, but I'm like, well, no, we know this thing, so we went to the second phase. We identified some more things, and luckily we did, because we found the pipe on Gilboa Street that was just pouring a bunch of groundwater in. So we were able to dig that up and repair it prior to paving.
Yeah.
So that was taken care of. That eliminated a lot of flow that was going to that station. So we identified a few more areas. We found some more infiltration that we needed to address. A few of them were on North Street. We'll address those with that project. One is at that Colonial Pump Station, so depending on what we want to do there, if we start looking at replacing that, there's no sense in excavating out around the pump station to fix, because there's a pipe that's busted right next to the pump station.
Yeah.
So we'd have to excavate down to that, repair that pipe. And it seems like it was from when they installed the pump station, because it looks like there's a belly in the pipe, so it got compacted. And when it got compacted like that, it broke the seal. That's where it's pouring into that pipe. And we knew we had a problem there. We just couldn't get our camera down far enough, because ours was only a little hand push one that we do, and I couldn't make it down the line. That's one of the smaller sections, and we used to see the flow coming in there all the time.
Yeah.
Anytime we had big rain events, so we knew something was going on there. But so we did finally identify that one. We'll also identify anything we can on North Street. So we did have them come in and camera some on North Street, but I'm gonna have them come back out, and we'll camera all of not North Street, Depot Street.
Depot.
We already did all of North Street. So we'll do all of Depot Street, and that way any of those repairs will incorporate into that project, which should be done next year. And like I said, we know there's some additional I&I work that we need to do, just based off the flows that we get during these storms. So those are just some things that we need to consider during this budget process. Any other discussions on the preliminary budget?
Nope.
Alright, I'll try to put something together before the next meeting. And then, do you guys wanna have
We should have a budget meeting,
a strictly budget
strictly
meeting?
budget. And if we can, if everybody's available, try to have it like at a normal time,
Yeah, I prefer that.
you know?
Yeah, cause the budget meeting can get.
Yeah,
dragged out. It
yeah,
gets
we get in the weeds quick.
Yep. So then, alright, so I'll try to figure out something. I haven't even started a preliminary budget yet, so
Yeah.
I'll get something together just kind of as a preliminary thing. I kinda wanna get feedback here as to what direction, but we'll wait till there's a full board, but I'll put something together to begin with. The fee discussion, that, I think we should probably skip over that for now.
Yep.
Wait till we get the full board so we can make sure.
When was the last time we did fees?
So there's just some discussion as to which ones are which, and I think it was brought up and kind of pointed out that we should probably look at all of our fees, because when we did the rate study last, we did a portion of what we charge things. It was more the rates, not all the fees. And we just want to, I don't want to call it ratify, but get all the fees together, the rates and all the fees that we charge, connection fees and final reads and, turn on, turn off fees, all that stuff. Just all the fees that are associated with everything we do. Put them all together, vote them all through so that these are the current ones. You're not looking at all right, these are the rates, this was voted on in 2021, and these fees were voted on in 2017, and, you know, just to make it clear so
Yeah.
everybody understands what fees and where they come from. Just so it's all in one place. We'll do a meeting, get you guys to all vote on it, and then we'll do a public hearing just to, you know, I guess that's what you would call ratified or whatever, but, just to finalize that.
Yeah, because we did the rates, but like you said, I don't think we did the fee last time.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Project updates, I kinda just hit you with that. We got the Gilboa Street Pump
Yeah.
Station, we're still waiting on, pumps and the control panel and the generator. All that should have been done. If it was, we'd be ahead of the game, we'd be able to keep up with these storms. So now we've had to have pump trucks in here twice. Trying to keep up with that pump station, just to,
How many trips did they do today?
I have no idea, we don't pay by the trip, we pay
No.
by the hour.
Yeah.
They're here for so many hours, X amount per hour, so.
I didn't know if you just counted to try to figure it
Well,
out.
Peter's probably got all the numbers. He'll tell you how much and how many minutes it took for each load. So, yeah, and then, you know, as we discussed, I think the asphalt mixture wasn't correct on these roads when they paved them, so you can see it kind of peeled up a little bit. It's not holding together the way it should, so
And who's paying for that?
it won't be us. So.
The asphalt company?
That's up to them, you know, we have a contract with CJP, they have a contract with their vendors, so. However that works out, I'm sure that CJP is just gonna look at them saying, hey, you guys provided the asphalt, you put it down, you gotta fix it, so.
Mm-hmm.
So, we'll get more answers on that in the next few months, so we can get that finalized. So I'd like to get these projects closed out so that we can move forward with the next ones. That was part of the problem with when we went for Mass Works for funding for the North Street project. Because this one wasn't closed out yet, they don't like to have multiple ones out there.
Mhm.
So we've gotta get these finalized, both for the Mass Works and the EDA, so that we have a better application going into the next round of funding to try to get funding for that project. You know, hopefully the economy turns around a little bit and we can continue to move forward with the Pine project. Because that's all kind of predicated on that Pine project as well, so.
Any rumors on a tenant yet?
No.
For either facility? The other
I
facility too?
did hear through rumor mill, not through
Yeah.
people, I think it was Facebook or whatever, that the medical supply company for the Blackstone Valley one. I think Facebook said it was someone based out of Westboro, which I think is McKesson's the only one I can think of,
Yeah.
Westboro, but I don't know. I know they must have a tenant because they're redoing the sprinkler pipes inside the building.
Yep.
I guess they didn't believe me when I told them I know when they run water, cause my phone blew up with alarms.
Yeah.
You know, me and Steve went out looking.
Yeah.
Then I called them up, I'm like, hey, you guys doing anything with the water? They're like, oh, well, yeah, it shouldn't do anything though, we're just doing the sprinkler lines inside the building. I'm like, well, you did, yeah,
Yeah.
so. So the guy told me he'd call me or
Yeah.
text me whenever they're gonna do something, just so I know, so I'm not running around
Yeah.
trying to figure out what happened. You know, we had one other one happen up the other end of town.
Yep.
So me and Steve both take off and just, based on the alarms and the numbers that came in, we're like, oh man, that might be a main break, so.
Yeah.
You know, we both took off in different directions, we both come around, I come up Rydell, he's going up Main Street, we both come to the fire department, and they're out there doing their testing on their trucks,
Oh,
on their pumper trucks, so. John's like, sorry, I forgot to call you.
Yeah.
But John's usually really good with it, he'll call me anytime they're gonna do practicing or testing or whatever, so. Or even when if they've got a fire, he'll call me and say, hey, we're gonna load up the trucks, so. So that works out well, it just saves me from running around trying to track down why we're getting alarms. But yeah, so they set off the alarms for that building. One time I called them up, like, all right, well, text you, let you know we're gonna do it.
Yep.
A couple days went by, all of a sudden that phone blows up again.
Yep.
So I call him, he's like, oh, I forgot to call you, so.
Yep.
But I guess he's like, well, it shouldn't even set it off what we're doing. I'm like, yeah, well, we've got them set pretty sensitive, so. We pretty much pick up on any time anybody's pulling water on any hydrant. So like I said, we haven't got the contract yet for the engineering for Depot Street. Should be any day now. That'll get that moving. We gotta get the surveying done. I think the biggest problem is gonna be trying to figure out the loop part. I'd like to go down the
Trunk
railroad
line.
track,
Yeah,
trunk
that'd be
line.
great.
It's controlled by DCR. They've got Article 97 or whatever they're calling stuff, and if it's whatever triggers it, it's a long process to get through that. So time-wise, I'm not sure how that'll work out with us. But I did put Bob and Erica working on that, so
Yeah.
they'll bite their ankles enough to
Yeah.
get things
We'll
moving.
expedite it.
Yeah. We'll go through the expedited process.
Yeah.
The rail trail is probably the best option. It's nice and flat. If we go straight through and go down Maple, that kind of has a big elevation difference. I want to say could be like 30 feet elevation
Yeah.
difference. And the problem with that is that it's at the higher end of our hydraulic system. So if I go up 30 feet to create a loop, it really won't work the way that we need it to work.
Right.
Because now the water's not going to flow that way because it's the
Yeah.
higher
Mm-hmm.
restriction.
Right.
So unless we went 30 feet deep in the road, which I'm not going to put a water main 30 feet deep. So,
No,
so we got to figure out something there.
it will be easy digging though, 'cause that's probably all gravel.
Oh yeah,
You know.
yeah. But which also means it'll cave in easy. So, but yeah, we'll figure that out going through the engineering portion. Like I said, North Street's kind of on hold. I think we're at 90% on the design. I think the engineers are looking at getting on the next Concom meeting to go over any of the Concom permitting that we need for North Street, just in case we do move forward on that. Pump station already went over. Depot Street. Davis Monroe Street, that project it's just kind of slow moving through the process on the engineering. I want to say we're only 50% on that, just because we had other priorities that we told them to focus on, and that's kind of filler work that they can work on. Plus, we don't want to start the clock yet on final design. If we get final design, then you only have so long to use it,
Yeah.
and that doesn't seem like it's moving as fast as all the other areas that we're working on. So, the longer we can push that out to get that finalized, probably the better for us. I think that's about it for the project updates. Well, we do have the lead service line project that we're working on. Just trying to identify and get an inventory of any lead that we have in the system, whether it's goosenecks or service lines. And I know we don't have any lead service lines, so it's really only goosenecks.
How do you find that out?
So if it's an iron service, it typically has a lead gooseneck. So we're going through, we got a $200,000 grant to go through this process. So I think we sent some things out, mailers or flyers to people, and we put it on the website. People can sign up to have a basement inspection done where we'll go in, or they can do it themselves as well. If you go on the website, it gives you instructions on how to look at your service line, take a picture of it, and they tell you how to try to identify it so you can figure out what type of material is coming in. So the more people we can get to volunteer and do that stuff, the better our system will be. We can identify things better. So they have a predictive modeling software that they use as well. So if we identify a bunch of services, we check them. We can look at basements. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of the basement inspections because I've dug up many services in this town where I go dig it up and it's plastic inside the house or it's iron inside the house.
Just outside.
And then just outside it changes the copper, and then another 30 feet it's plastic. We dig up one right here on North Street, there's 3 different materials. So, but you have no idea just looking at the basement inspection. So what I asked them to do, they denied me the original time I requested it. I prefer to go dig up the curb stop, so we can do a hydro excavation, dig down so we can see the material on each side of the valve, because the valve is kind of the divider line. We own the street side of the valve, and they own their side of the valve.
Alright.
But that'll tell me the material at the valve. If it's plastic up to the valve, then we probably already replaced it back to the main. If it's iron up to the valve, likely there's a lead gooseneck.
Mhm.
If it's copper, there's no lead gooseneck. So, you know, between copper, plastic, and iron, iron's the only one that's going to have a lead gooseneck.
Yeah.
But they could have changed the customer side, or we could have changed our side. So if you dig it up at the curb, you can see both sides and what the material is there.
Mhm.
It gives you a better idea of what's probably there. More so than just looking in the basement. They denied me on that method. Originally, they wanted to do basement inspections, and I'm like, all right, well, that's stupid. Like I said, I got pictures showing you different materials on those pipes. That's why now I'm cautious anytime. Normally we'll try to pull a line, run a cable through it, yank it with the backhoe
Mhm.
without digging everything up. But we did one on West Street, and we broke the cable 3 times or something. And what the heck? It's a really short run. It's like they've got the minimum requirement for the setback off the
Mhm.
road. I'm like, this should have been a quick, easy pull. Ended up having to dig it up. Well, they had another curb stop outside, so that's messing up trying to pull it. They had like 2 3-part unions, so trying to pull it through, you got all these blocks trying to keep
Mhm.
it from pulling. So you never know what you're gonna run into. But that was another one where you got different materials because they had all these 3-part unions splicing different pieces in it. So you never know. So like I said, I think my method is a better way to get a good idea. But once you identify so many, I mean, usually you put in sections of main. So a main's installed in this year, and you either use copper, you use plastic, or you use, lead gooseneck or iron.
Mhm.
So once you identify enough of them, you can put in a predicted modeling, and the computer will tell you what's likely everywhere. But the more information we can put in it, the better results we'll get. And the biggest thing is if we don't identify it, and we say it's unknown, this EPA or the state, I forget which one it is, I think it's EPA, but they say you have to assume it's lead. So if we don't identify it, we have to assume it's lead.
Mm.
If we assume it's lead, then they're going to put us into a program where we have to replace so many a year, which is going to get very expensive. So
Mm.
the more information we have, the better off we'll be, and the more financially responsible we'll be.
Mhm.
So there's the lead service line one. Asset management, we just finished up on the sewer, which is why we had that presentation earlier. And the water asset management is going to start in another 2 weeks. So that's it for the projects.
And then how do we make out with the high school?
High school, Kurt's coming out Friday to survey that. Look at it, see what we need for meter, backflow, whatever we need.
Okay. It's this Friday?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had some family medical issues.
Yep.
Future agenda items. I think Tom requested that to be on the agenda. I don't know if it means if you guys have something that you want on the next agenda. I don't think it's a bad idea to have it on there. If you guys have things that you want to add to the next agenda, let us know now. Yeah, I guess that's it. It's all good.
Yeah, I don't have anything else. I don't have anything else.
No, I don't.
Alright. So I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:08.
Second it? All in favor?
Aye.